Okay, now let's move on to aspect. The first thing we need to note is that there are no tenses in Chinese. Aspect replaces tense. So let's just look at this now. Firstly, action in progress. 他在买书吗? So we can have 他在买书 or 他在买书呢. Students don't have much problem with this, and so to practice it, we could just have some pictures. They can answer the question 他在做什么? 他在看书. 他们在做什么? 他们在吃饭. 他在做什么? 他在开车. There's not much of a problem with that. But something that's similar is ongoing state. 他坐着呢. So let's just look at a grammar clip and hope we find this helpful.
We've already learned that 在 can mean action in progress. Then when we come to lesson 38, we learn about 这, which also seems to mean action in progress. What's the difference? And let me use two illustrations. 我穿着这件 sweater. I am wearing this sweater. 我在穿这件 jacket. I am putting on this jacket. Here's another example. 我在拿这本书. I am picking up this book. 我拿着这本书. I am holding this book.
Okay. All right, let's get the next clip ready. Okay. Let's go back to the PowerPoint. Come on. Okay, here we are. So let's look at 这 and think about in what way is it different from 在. We just use those two examples. 他在穿, he is putting on, where 他穿着, he is wearing. So he is putting on active action, where 穿着, although an action verb, is a static state. Okay? 他在拿, he is actively picking up. But 他拿着, he is holding. And so the first of those two sentences indicate the dynamic nature of the action, whereas the second one indicates the static mode. And so simply one way to practice is to get students filling in the blank. 门开着, the door is open. 人等着公车呢, 两个人都坐着. So what we can deduce with 这 is that 这 attached to a few verbs indicates either posture, sitting, lying down, kneeling, standing, or a continuing state, waiting, holding an object, sleeping, wearing clothes. But then we need to look at 他坐着看书呢. And here, this indicates the posture or manner in which an activity is being carried out. So for instance, he eats seated. He reads standing. And so one way to practice it, if the teacher says, as the example, A3, and the student says 他喜欢坐着喝 or you could have C4 走着看书 so this indicates the posture or manner in which an activity is being carried out. So that's 在 action in progress and 着 an ongoing state. Now let's look at action completed aspect. 他买了3本书吗? And we'll just look at one more grammar clip.
In lesson 15, we're introduced to 了, which indicates completed action. It's not easy to understand, but particularly read carefully the worth noting, which says 了 is not applied automatically as the past tense is in English. And so it's up to the person talking whether they particularly want to focus on the fact that the action's completed or not. If they focus on the fact that the action is completed, then they'll use 了. If that part, that aspect isn't so important, then they might omit using 了. Let me use an example. 你已经写了吗?
我已经写了。
很好. You see, the focus was on the action of writing has already been completed.
Okay, let's go back to the PowerPoint and look at 了 in more detail. Because for students, 了 is probably the most difficult part of speech for students to understand. And the problem is that when students first meet 了, they jump to the wrong conclusion that they think they've found the past tense in Chinese. And what often makes it worse is that many teachers will say 了 is the past tense in Chinese. And this is wrong for the very reason that Chinese does not have tenses. It has this system called aspect. And so what's key is that 了 is not applied automatically as the past tense is in English. 了 indicates completion of an action, similar to have verb ed in English. And so it's important that we point out to our students that 了 is only used with action verbs, not with adjectives, and also not with linking verbs. And so it's important to notice that whereas in English tense and time must agree, I went yesterday, not I go yesterday, in Chinese we just have to think about was the action completed. And so the different aspects, we've already had progressive aspect, 在 plus verb, 他在吃饭. The completed aspect, using 了, and then in a few minutes we're going to look at the experiential aspect of 过. And note, without any reference to any point of time in the past. So listen to these two sentences. 他吃了饭就要出去. 他吃了饭就要出去. Is that past? No, it's future. When he has finished eating, he then will go out. Listen to this one. 学生下了课就去打球. 学生下了课就去打球. When students finish class, then they go out and play ball. It's their habit to do this. And neither of those two sentences are indicating past, they're indicating completion of action. And so what the student might want to ask is, well, when I want to talk about the verb to be in the past. Last semester, she was my teacher. Or say an adjective, when I was young, I was very thin. They often want to add le to these sentences so that it indicates something in the past. But you have to say to them, le is only used with action verbs. Linking verbs, adjectives, do not use le. Normally, the time word or the context of the sentence is sufficient to indicate that it happened in the past. So let's now look at the summary of le. As we just said, le indicates the completion, conclusion, or occurrence of an event in the past, similar to have ed in English, and it is only used with action verbs. And so you take 孩子吃了早饭就出去了. Okay, le at the end of the sentence indicates completion. He has gone out. 孩子吃了早饭. When he finished eating, 他就出去了. He then went out. Different from the sentence we just said, 他吃了饭就要出去. When he finished eating, he will go out. Let's just note when it's double le, 吃了2碗饭了. That indicates completion up to now, up to the present time. He has eaten 2 bowls of rice, and whether he continues or not, we'll find out a bit later. That's the double le. Now, how can we practice this? Well, we can get students to answer questions. For instance, 他穿了衣服就做什么? Okay, and the student says, 他穿了衣服就去打球. And that indicates habit. Just one le. 他洗了澡就要做什么? 他洗了澡就要做什么? Indicates future. 他洗了澡就要去上班. 他上了车就做什么? 他上了车就睡觉. Indicating his habit. Those 3 sentences are nothing to do with past tense. Secondly, le can indicate a change in situation.